What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by, spending a few minutes of your time here with me today. I hope y'all are doing good, man. Listen, this world can get pretty spooky sometimes, like pretty dreamlike in a way, right? And what I mean by dreamlike is there's a lot of meaning here to discover. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're dreaming, a lot of people interpret their dreams to mean something, right, of personal significance. A lot of the times dreams are trying to tell you something. They're trying to help you with a problem, or they're trying to help you release some trauma or something like this, right? And we interpret dreams. We also interpret like all different kinds of works of art like this. You know, it's like you can watch a particular scene in a movie and then interpret it to mean something to you based on your life experience, the way you relate to this specific scene, right? The reason why we can interpret our dreams like this, like we have this freedom, this lack, you know, of inhibition or whatever. We interpret our dreams because we feel like it's all happening inside of us, right? And we know at a certain level the dream is not real. That's how we talk about dreams, right? Dreams aren't real. And we know this, so this allows us the freedom to sort of interpret our dreams. When you're in your dream, if you've ever noticed, right, it's like there's really no boundary in your dream between what you would say is you and what you would say is not you. Like, you know you're dreaming, so in a way, everything that you see is you in the dream, okay? In a psychological language, you could say that every object in the dream, every person, place, or thing that's in your dream is really a symbolic representation of something else, of the self, of the unconscious, right? Everything in the dream can be interpreted to mean something else. Everything in the dream is there specifically to deliver some sort of message to you, okay? And it's sort of strange that when we wake up, we decide not to do this, that you cannot interpret your real life like this and give your real life almost a spiritual significance, right? But you can feel free to do that with movies or music or paintings or dreams. But there's nothing really stopping you from interpreting your real life like it's a dream, okay? Because after all of this is still happening within you. Everything that you're experiencing, that you're witnessing and observing and doing, your experience is all held within you. You experience it within the self. You know what I'm saying? This stuff appears to be out there, but really it's held in here, in your consciousness, or whatever you would want to call it, right? And you can interpret it as such. You do kind of have to be careful, but when you start to do this, it's like the merging of two worlds. It's like your inner reality starts to bleed into your outer reality, right? The external world becomes like a reflection of the internal world. And you have to sort of realize that there's these two things, right? This thing that's called me, and then all of these things that's called not me. But these things are sort of contingent on each other. They depend on each other to exist, you know what I mean? In order to have things that are not me, there must be a me. And in order for there to be a me, there must be things that are not me. And so, really what's going on is these two things, it's the same thing. It's just acting like it's not. It's just trying to fool you. It's trying to set you up a barrier, right? So you can experience something, right? That's sort of what our mind would tell us, but nothing out here is really separate from you. And if you can see this, then you can start to notice how maybe certain thoughts that you're having, certain ideas that you're exploring, certain subjects that you're trying to learn about are bleeding into your reality. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to give you a couple of examples of how this has happened to me, sort of like what it feels like. And I want to share it with you all in the hopes that it inspires it to happen more in your life, because it's a glorious feeling when it happens. And you do sort of have to be careful with this, so they say, right? Me personally, I like to push everything to the extreme. But they do say you should be careful with this, because you can put meaning anywhere and everywhere. And when you start to put meaning everywhere, it's like all of a sudden everything is making sense, right? You can see the fingerprints of God all in your life and stuff like this. And like you're getting so close. And it's a great feeling. You're happy, genuinely, authentically happy. You're sort of merging with the oneness of it all, right? You're merging these two worlds, and it's a beautiful feeling. It sort of feels like that God or your higher power, whatever, is communicating with you, or you are, in a better word, you are in communion with your higher power, in a constant communicate. You are one with it. You know what I'm saying? And when people see you in this state, they will be frightened, okay? They will be really put off. They're gonna think you're the weirdest person that they've ever met. They're not gonna really understand you. They're not, like, you're unpredictable and shit. You might do something crazy, but you really won't. You're just happy, but they're not used to someone who is this happy, right? Who has this level of satisfaction and contentment in life. They're gonna be really put off. How could anyone be happy? We've been trained against this. You know what I'm saying? So the whole world is gonna like look at you like, whoa, what the hell? What's he got going on? You know what I'm saying? But they call it mania. They'll say you're manic. You look like a maniac. That's when everything is making too much sense. Everything means something, right? And the opposite of that is depression, where that's like nothing makes sense. You don't know anything. Nothing means anything at all. That's depression. And people look at you crazy, you know, if you get real bad slumped in depression, just the same way they'll look at you if you're real high up in these manic states of being, and things like this, right? So you do sort of have to be careful. There's a way for you to just breathe. Just breathe. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's a way to function there. But anyway, yeah, so one time I was messing around, I was being goofy, right? I saw this bucket, one of those big orange like Home Depot buckets, and I just was like, I'm gonna kick that when I run by. So I run by and I kick it, and don't you know, that thing was filled up with water, bro. It wasn't empty at all, and I hurt myself pretty good. And like while I was recovering, I was reflecting on what had happened, the mistake that I made, you know what I mean? And then this thought struck me. It said, an empty bucket can be kicked across the field with little effort, but a full bucket, a bucket that is filled, is not so easily moved. And then a deeper thought came. It was like, because I was sort of, in this time of my life, I was developing my own sense of faith, right? And so in my head, it was like, if I'm empty, if I'm not filled, if I don't stand for something, if I don't believe in something, if I don't have faith in something greater than myself, then I'll be easily moved and swayed in any direction with little effort, right? But if I'm filled, if I have faith, then I can't be moved, right? And so in this strange way, and it's like the thought, I know it comes from me, but it doesn't feel like it comes from me. It feels like there's a higher power communicating to me through my environment. That's what I mean, the merging of these two worlds. And really what that is to me is the unconscious. The unconscious is sort of bubbling, and then a bubble is rising, bursting at the surface in this inspired, insightful thought, right? This communication is taking place between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And because that unconscious mind appears to be separate from the conscious mind, right? It feels like it's not coming from me. It's coming from an external source almost, right? An external source within me or something, right? Then another time, I was covering some food with tinfoil, and this happens to me on a regular basis, bro. I'm like this every day. I'm interpreting my reality, right? But sometimes you can ignore it, you can push that off to the side, and I'm guilty of that sometimes, right? But this happens to me more often. It's like it's always going on. You always have the capability of doing this. This doesn't like go away. It's always there. It's just a way of looking at things, or something like that, right? So another time I was putting some tinfoil on some food, and like the tinfoil caught the light from the ceiling, and it flashed me in the eye real quick. You know, that glare, it sort of blinds you for a second, and then the thought struck me, and it said, look at how perfectly this tinfoil reflects the light that is being shone down on it from above. And then a deeper thought came and said, I would do well to reflect the light that's been shone down on me from above in the same way that this tinfoil does. And so again, it's another example of my environment sort of communicating to me, and it has specifically something to do with ideas that I'm entertaining, or it has something to do with where I'm at mentally or spiritually or something like this, right? Like if I start filling myself up with research I've been doing on the brain, for example, right? Like I've made a video about this before, but like once I was obsessed with the left and right hemispheres of the brain, and how one is logical, you know, and rational and stuff like this, and the other one is more creative and emotional and fluid and stuff like this. One is straight, one is curved, you know what I mean? This kind of thing. I started to see this. And I started to see certain people that would interact with each other, and it was like one is playing the part of the left hemisphere and one is playing the part of the right hemisphere, and I'm seeing how they're interacting. I was watching Star Wars, and I was seeing how CP3O and R2D2 were perfect representations of the left and right hemispheres respectively, right? And through watching their interactions, I was understanding how my own mind, how these seemingly opposing forces, the left and right hemispheres of the brain, are sort of in conflict, and how to merge them or something like this. So because I was heavily invested, I was putting a lot of energy into the research of left and right hemispheres of the brain. At the time, it was like the most important thing in my life, this research I was doing, you know what I mean? That's just how I am. But it started to bleed through. All that research I was doing, everything I was gaining was bleeding through and coming out into the world, so I could experience it and inspect it and observe it from different angles to better understand it more thoroughly, right? And it's a good feeling when it happens. You start to feel in the flow of things. You're in tune with things. You're in harmony, right? And I'll admit, a lot of people, maybe they don't experience this, but it's possible, bro. It's possible. It's the same way when you watch a movie, you see things. You know that nothing in the movie is put there by accident. Everything is scripted, right? Every part of the background is fabricated. They put these things here. Like if you see book titles in the background of a movie, they didn't put those book titles there on accident. They specifically picked those book titles. They don't just grab random books and throw them in there. I'm sure that somewhere they have, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, someone who's at the master level of their craft, creating movies and art, nothing is out of place. You understand? Everything has a purpose. It's just like an author who's writing a book. They don't put extra words in the book. There's no words in there that have no meaning. Everything that's in the book is there on purpose. Every single letter is there on purpose. Every single punctuation mark and every single space in between the letters, it's all there on purpose. You know what I'm saying? The author has done this on purpose. That's exactly what's going on out here. Everything that's around you is here on purpose for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's here for a reason. Nothing is here by accident. You know what I'm saying? This isn't just random. It's not random that you have what you have or you don't have what you don't have. You know what I'm saying? The experiences that you're experiencing or what you're experiencing, this isn't just random. You know? Anyway, man, this video is almost 15 minutes long. I've been talking way. You guys don't even watch more than 2 or 3 minutes at a time anyway. I don't even know why I get on here and talk, for real. But hey, man, until next time, I hope you continue to free your mind. You know, fuck the time, bro. I don't care if it's 15 minutes. Listen, you know, when I say free your mind, I'm not trying to tell you to like free your mind from the Matrix or something like that. Like, no, I'm saying free your mind. Like, open it up. Let it be. You've been holding it back. You've been thinking that the ideas you have, they're too out there. They're too crazy to talk about or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or to even entertain, just personally, you know what I mean? You're thinking they're too out there. You've been holding yourself back. I want you to free your mind. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be afraid of your mind. It can be a frightening thing. A brilliant mind can be a frightening thing, but it's a beautiful thing. If you just let it go, let it grow, let it become what it naturally is. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to force anything. Don't hold it back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, until next time, I hope you continue to free your mind.